this environment. It's just not here.
don't have a gavel. That's probably a good thing. Good morning. We will call the Operations Committee to order, and the first item is Mr. Sherwood from Sherwood Associates and whoever was accompanying him. Mr. Crane, I must say, I'm so sad to say for us, but happy for Mr. Eckert that this is probably his last committee meeting.
It is.
And
Craig looks very
I've been
sad.
to a lot of committee meetings with Mr. Eckert over the years,
Many
just
committee
thank
meetings.
you for everything you have done for the school system and all the innovative things that have happened on your watch, and just hope you have a wonderful retirement and drive up on that Harley in good shape.
You know, I've loved working, doing what I was doing here to the best of my ability. And I did put a jacket on.
I was gonna say, I don't remember you ever wearing a blazer.
I got a picture with him, so.
In the early days, myself and let's see, the IT director Jenkins, we wore ties every day of the week, and then gradually it sort of faded away, and no ties.
You realize you lived at the beach.
But you know, I've enjoyed working here. I've enjoyed giving you all the information to make the correct decisions, and I think that this school district is heads above many other districts, and that's in IT, that's in security, that's in trying to stay ahead of the growth, and I think looking back 17 years of the board members, we've only had a couple rogue members. And overall, the hearts of the folks sitting on the board have done well for the district. And that's really good. Doug, we would like to discuss today the finer points of getting this design underway. If we have any desires and dreams of opening up in August of 2028. And I'll let Doug go. He's going to talk about his end, and then I have a couple slides focusing on the north end and how the growth is occurring and where it's occurring.
Thank you all for having me back again today. Our firm was selected for this project through a public selection process, and we've been very honored working on it thus far and look forward to where it's going to go here in the future. An update on where we are is we have completed our design guidelines for elementary schools for Brunswick County. So this is a document specific to Brunswick County. It addresses your needs and was a very collaborative process. So it included consensus building meetings with elementary school staff from 3 of your elementary schools, as well as your department heads in operations. So we met with technology, safety, security, maintenance, custodial, transportation, and child nutrition. We also, with our engineers, toured some of your schools in the northern part of the campus, some of the elementary schools, to see what was working well and what may not be working well as far as building systems and space utilization. And when we took those findings back to your high-level administrative staff, so we met with the director of elementary education, the director of exceptional children, the media center director, assistant superintendent of elementary education, and Mr. Cole, your school superintendent. As you go through this document, you will start to see the actual space needs, the square footage that generates individual spaces that generated square footage for the entire building. The baseline we used for that was the Department of Public Instruction. They have a list of spaces and square footage for each of those. We have found in past years that they may not have been updated as recently as we would have liked. So that was one reason that we like to go through this, is to identify spaces that may be outdated and how can we utilize that space in a better way so that we're making sure it's a functional space for your school, not just a room that's checking a box. So the final outcome was an elementary school that can accommodate 750 students from pre-K through 5th grade. And the design guidelines are intended to provide a pathway to design a modern school to support education in this county through flexibility and functionality. As we move forward, our next steps will be site selection for the new elementary school, ensuring we have a proper topographic and wetland delineation of that parcel. Moving into master planning so that the design team can evaluate the site properly, do all of our due diligence to lay out the site in the best usable fashion. That may include, once we find locations for the building footprints, to do some additional geotech to make sure that where we're looking to place the building has good soils for that building, so we don't have any surprises later on. And then move on into schematic design through completion of the project. So I think the big question is schedule, and as we look at that, we understand the goal is for this school to be open and operational in August of 2028, which sounds like a long way away, but it will go by quickly. So we reviewed the schedule again, and it is tightening up. I'll be honest, we're starting to squeeze a few areas, but we do feel that it's still possible to get this done and have it ready by 2028 if everything runs smoothly.
Is the timeline you referenced in here somewhere?
No, sir, it's not. That is a design guideline for all future elementary schools from the county, not specific to anyone. But to accomplish this goal, we'll need to work together, again, to get the sites selected, and have the design team released for master planning by July 15th of 2025. So if we get kicked off 15th of July, we think we can still make this. Once we bring to you a master plan and have that approved, we would look to be released for schematic design by October 15th of 2025. And upon an approved schematic design, releasing the design team for design development March 1st of 2026. And then we would continue through construction documents with a goal of getting that done towards the end of November of 2026. At that time, we would be looking to receive permits and approval by all agencies that will be required prior to the project going out to bid by February of 2027. And then bidding and construction activities would take that through July of 2028. So we're still shooting to get this done in a manner that would give the school system time to move in furniture and equip the building with any owner-specified technology somewhere between the middle of July and the middle of August, with students arriving towards the end of August. So we've got a pretty snug timeline there. But,
and that's with zero setbacks, which we encounter on a lot of projects.
Correct. Yes, sir. So in that schedule I presented last time to you, which was very granular, we have anticipated approval, say, on stormwater with 2 submissions only, so 2 90-day reviews. We're anticipating, yes, everything running very smoothly for that to happen. But the design team is very excited. We've been excited about this project. We've been happy to be working on it this far. And we are really excited to implement the design guidelines that we've come up for Brunswick County. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, but that's kind of the broad brush overview of where we see things.
This is a coffee table time, sit down and read. So we will not be able to read. So.
No, it's very well put together.
It is.
I appreciate the work you did and collaborating with staff on getting all the information put together.
Absolutely. We find that truly the best way to design a project is to get input from the users and make sure we address those things. We want to provide a design and a building that is for you, not for us.
Right.
So this is an updated timeline from the one you gave us a few months back?
Yes, sir.
And so are you going to supply it to us?
I'm happy to do that if you'd like to see it. We basically pushed a little bit of the flow time for the contractor closer to the school. So we're saying construction is going to run pretty smooth, and squeeze a little bit of our front end time from master planning and schematic, but mostly sliding the schedule down. We're trying to leave a little bit of flow time for those unknowns that may happen in construction, but those timelines are those float areas are evaporating if we're still going to get it done in 2020.
I think the major point that I heard was sort of a July 15th deadline for beginning master planning is,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We would need
like, if
site
we want to have a
selection
chance
and
by
master
2028, we need to start master planning by July 15th.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's like, tomorrow.
Feels like it.
Close. Close.
Well, there's a board meeting between now and
Yes.
then.
No,
That's the
yeah.
important thing.
Yes.
And so do you have any sense, based on your experience in regards to delays and, you know, just how these things, I mean, we all can set our goals and timelines, right?
But how realistic is it to not have
So,
any
but I
delays?
mean, a lot of times, that's because we've said,
Right.
here's where we wanna be on this day, where we wanna be,
Yes, sir.
not where we're most likely to be. So where are we most likely to be on that?
I mean, right now, that's what we're shooting for. I started that end date back up. And like I said, we did have a little bit of flow time in the last schedule. We absorbed some of that, but the schedule is based on review periods that I have, reconfirmed with all the review agencies. So, you know, Department of Public Instructions, they currently say 8 weeks, but if you talk to them, it may be 10. And the school also gave the Department of Insurance for review. And we also have, you know, stormwater and all of the other agencies to go through, depending on water, sewer, dealing with the state on that as well. DOT, which can be time consuming.
So have you ever opened a school in 36 months from the date that you started master planning?
6 months, so 3 years, I think that's kind of the minimum. Yes, sir. About where we are.
Have you ever done it?
I would have to go back and look at past schedules, to be honest with you. It would be.
It would be helpful for, well, here's where I'm going.
Yes, sir.
To kick off master planning in a month is gonna take a tremendous investment of resources. Very early in our due diligence process. And, you know, I think the board needs to be apprised of how successful have you been in the past with a 3-year timeline. I mean, if you've had, over the last 10 years, 5 projects that you had on a 36-month timeline, how many of them actually came in 36 months?
Okay.
Because if it seems impractical to, I mean, not impractical, but if it seems, somewhat of a toss-up, you know, as to whether or not we might get to, August of 2028, then the board has to weigh, is the return on that risk worth, you know, what we're being asked to commit to?
I will say that I've laid out a lot of schedules, and I lay them out the same every time, and we meet our schedules. I can't tell you that something, you know, won't come up during construction.
I understand.
But as far as the schedule we've laid out, we are very thorough with the time it takes us to do what we need to do in our design team. We set deadlines with our design team that may even precede our deadline, so we have time for that coordination to happen. And then we have that time for design or for the review agencies. And when we lay that out, we haven't had a problem meeting that. We meet that schedule.
And you allow, obviously, for inclement weather days. Are you seeing any?
In construction, there is, it depends on the contract. You guys probably have your own contract. Typically, with a construction contract, there will be a schedule of anticipated rain days for the contractor to look at. They should include that in their schedule, and then anything beyond that, which is over a certain amount of rainfall, would be a time extension. I will say on this project, I believe you're still looking at CM at risk, which is a benefit for your timeline, because you'll be able to select your contractor based on qualifications rather than a really good process. So that gives you a comfort level up front with who you're working with. And we've got experience in doing CM at risk projects, and those have all been beneficial both to us and the client and the timeline.
But in the development of the timeline that you have made, what allowance, is there something in that timeline we can see that allows?
Yes, sir. It would be the contract. So what I've done, I've looked at the scope of the project, the size of the project. We've anticipated about 16 months of construction. I have verified with a few contractors that we work with on a regular basis that that's a reasonable timeline for this scale of the project, and they confirm it was. So
That's a reasonable time, allowing for a certain amount of.
allowing for construction. Yes, sir.
A reasonable Usually that's, probably, no more than 10 days a month, that they would have to basically absorb that into their schedule. Above whatever is, set forth in the contract, they would be, if they filed a claim for it, they would be due an extension of time, but no additional fee. No additional general conditions, nothing like that. All contractors that we've worked with in this district, they wanna do a good job, get done on time, and bid our next job. On the jobs with the middle school, where we hit into COVID and all, and we also hit into hurricanes, I believe in that same time frame. Our CM at risk worked to bring that job in on time, and that's what we do. We work as a three-legged stool. We're all one big team, designer, owner, and contractor, and if anyone fails, we all fail.
The other important thing to think about with inclement weather is once the building's dry down, they can burn. So you start to lose that inclement weather.
Trying to think of site prep issues.
Yeah, it's getting out of the ground.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, good
And now,
morning.
back again.
Back again. We had an update done in March of 2025. You see the 2025 projections. And I'm looking primarily here at the northern schools because that's the topic of discussion today is, how can we, address the fastest growing area we have that has the most needs. This graph here is a big picture of the north end of the elementary schools. And we have a number of different items on here. Green line is the 2025 projection. We have our building capacity, our total building capacity. We have our total, our working capacity is 90% of that total building. We walk through the buildings, rooms are used differently, rooms get different counts. We do not update that every year because it can change every year. Depends on the usage of the classrooms. So we have, the top line is the building capacity, and that, as you see, includes 2 elementary schools. One is in 2028-29, one is in 32-33. You can see with the timing of those new elementary schools, it does tend to keep us out of trouble. As you look in the bottom line that is blue and it turns into a horizontal red dot, that's if no additional schools are built. And that timeline runs to 29-30. As you can see, the green line, which is a projection, and also what we've done here, because we've discussed it and we're working towards it, is we're working towards putting a modular building back behind Leland Middle School. And that will house the 5th grade cohorts of 2 of the elementary schools. That being said, that does take the pressure off, but the bottom line is we still need elementary schools up there. And then we can look individually at each of the schools in the next slides, and you'll see the individual schools. So
The
That's
90%
fifth grade.
target, cap,
Yeah.
right there, is that with, is that,
We hope the next year.
so what you're saying is you're at 90% of the maximum in,
yeah, that's
so
right.
is that with the modular or just with the space that we currently
No,
have?
when we're talking capacity of school building, when DPI is talking building capacity needs, they do not include modulars in their numbers. Right now, we have 9 modulars at Belleville. 9 modulars, can take approximately, maybe 25 apiece. That's 225 students. We have the modular building at Lincoln, which was good. We did that in 2014. It was very cost effective. It's held up well. And we're looking to put another one right next to it to handle not only the 5th graders of taking the pressure off the elementary schools now before an elementary school is constructed, but that can be used in the future to take middle schools and possibly delay construction of a middle school in the north end and delay that a number of years. The graph you're seeing there it does not show, as this is the elementary school, it does not show modulars, but it does show, if you see the red line that says 2025 projection minus 5th grade in Lincoln and Belleville, it shows that 2025 projection dropping down by approximately 250 students. So the plan, the working vision is the modular building at Leland Middle School to temporarily handle the 5th grade loading at Lincoln and Belleville. And then the construction of the new elementary school opening in 2028, 29, which, as you can see by the 2 upper lines, solid gray, dotted blue, will put us in good shape until the needs arise for another elementary school. The growth is not stopping.
And that's not this coming school year, that's the next school year. The 5th grade.
Right. We are putting 2 modulars right now, 2 modular units at Lincoln Elementary that we hope to have in for August of 2025, this coming year. We've overcome the permitting hurdles. We've overcome impact fees through the H2GO, and we're getting ready to relocate those 2 new modular units at Lincoln Elementary, and we got 2 more coming for Union. Those were getting relocated from North Brunswick High School because of the additions we've done there.
So right now, there's no 5th grade moving this coming school year.
No,
Potentially the following school year.
26, 27.
Yeah, okay. I thought, because people listening are gonna,
Yeah,
That is the
These
plan.
are just for
Yeah.
them.
yeah. That is the plan, and I'm assuming that's been vetted somewhat. You know, I'm here to be like the oracle. I'm out of here in 5 days, folks. I love this school district. We've done a lot. We've done great, and I just, I want to leave it in good shape.
Well, we've ran our numbers quite a few times on this. That is the plan right now, is that we're not gonna be moving any 5th graders to LMS this upcoming year. We're looking at the year after that. However, there's no way for us to know how many families have moved into new homes that have kids that might be being served in daycares in New Hanover County that are planning to send their kids to Lincoln or Belleville. So it is
So this is to
possible we could
accommodate-
get a bunch of enrollments that we were not prepared for this summer. So I don't want to swear to it or anything, but what our current data shows us is that we're going to be able to make it 1 more year, which will allow us to get the big modular that we've ordered in place at LMS so that we can relocate the 5th grades at Lincoln and Belleville the following year, which will give us the breathing room to build the school.
So right now, this is for the incoming 6th graders to LMS. I mean, this will just accommodate the population that's gonna be there.
Well, it would be
For right now, these 2 modulars.
for 20. Yeah, it would
Right.
be for the 5th graders that will be in 5th grade the 26-27 school year.
so the incoming 4th graders for this year.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, right, okay.
That is our plan.
And the 2 modulars we're putting at Lincoln and Union this year, this summer, will be used for the general population.
Right, that's what I
As
mean.
needed.
Right. Right. Okay.
I do want to point out too, though, that in speaking of a second elementary school in the northern region down the line, I mean, we're talking about building a 750 student elementary school, and we currently have 300 students in trailers right now at Belleville and Lincoln. So 300 spots of that 750 are already in trailers.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean by we've got to plan ahead, not just for this elementary school, but there'll be another one down the line in the northern region.
And this next graph we see is, it's just the number of students in the schools, and then there's some averages. Right now, we're looking at, and I'm talking in the 28-29 year, because that's my year of interest here, it's 28-29. 28-29, we're going to have 934 students at Belleville. We'll have 817 at Lincoln. We'll have 948 at Town Creek with an average of 900 students for those three schools, which 900, I know we used to like 650 elementary, 750 for middle, and 1,400 for high school. I know we're bumping that up a little bit, but that was the old targets. Now we're thinking 750, 850, and 1,400. The average three schools on that graph is 900 students. If we add one additional school, which is the one we're talking about, 28-29, that drops the average enrollment to 674 students, which is a fine number. Okay. Belleville Elementary in 26-27 with the fifth grade relocated, the fifth grade cohort, we are 106 above the target capacity. And that red line you see there is a jog where the fifth grade cohort relocates to a different location. We're still above the target capacity when we take that entire cohort out, but it's much better, and we do have 9 modular units sitting out there. And I might add that the modular units, back 10 years ago, we'd put the location of a modular unit on a site plan. We'd submit it up to permit and planning. Everything would be good, distance from the boundaries, stormwater we could work with. Now, when we put a modular out there, even if it's a relocated modular, we go through the same process. Now they're wanting us to put canopies to all the modulars, which we tried not to do because we considered modulars to be temporary. Well, permitting up front has accessed some building code that says if you have a modular with students in it, you need to put a canopy over it. So all this is increasing the cost of modulars, not exponentially, but it's doubling and tripling what we used to pay to do this. It's just getting very, very expensive to put these modular units in. Everything's getting expensive. But so moving on, Lincoln Elementary, you see relocating that cohort gets it below target, and then returning the cohort, not pulling the fifth grade cohort out, but leaving the fifth grade up there in the year indicated where it pops back up, 28-29, and it shows that. What these individual graphs do not show is they do not show the impact of a new elementary school. So that 800 that you're seeing in 28-29, 825, give or take, we had said that will drop down. That will drop down with the addition. The average of the schools will drop down to 674, I believe I said. Right. For 4 elementary schools up there, average is 674. So a new school is going to take students from Lincoln, Belleville, and Town Creek. Those final, obviously, it has not progressed to where we have any definitive realignments. We have ideas, but we don't, until we know exactly where the school's going and when it's gonna be there, that's a big question mark.
And you won't be here for all that discussion.
Oh, but I'm not gonna walk away from the school district. I could be 4 hours away, but my heart's gonna be here, and I'm always going to be available to Mr. Bruce Huff, who's sitting back there. He's sort of my tentative replacement, and Larry. And Larry and Kim love each other like brothers. That's a relationship over 17 years you get. So this Lincoln, we see Lincoln, Town Creek. We do not have any red line here because we are not moving Town Creek cohorts. The additions that we did in opening in 2024 August, and the one that will open with students in August of 2025, furniture showing up in July. You can see that slope line on the left. You can see from 23-24 it increases, and it increases at the same rate for 25-26 because we added 8 classrooms in each edition. Same edition. Hopefully you've been out there. It's a beautiful concept. It's a beautiful addition for those 2 buildings. Leland Middle, well, you can see the impact that the 5th grade cohort did, and that does include the modular. It's really those numbers reflect 10 rooms. That's 10 rooms. That's 9 classrooms, and that's 1 resource room / office / administrative support area for that discrete group of students. So it's not really 10 classrooms, it's 9 classrooms, restrooms, all that good stuff. And if you have any questions about any of this, please ask me. Touching back upon Doug's presentation, Doug has done the programming. It's a very thorough job. Doug's desire and my desire is that we get authorization for him to do master planning, and we have 2 sites that we are looking at. They're both viable now and in the future, but in order for him to do any meaningful master planning, he is going to need to know which site to do it on, because the sites are different. You have different fall of the land. You have different sun exposures. I mean, you orient the building properly for lighting and energy conservation. And his mission was to do master planning and master planning with the idea of having another school located next to it. Originally, we were talking elementary and middle school next to each other. And there was a high school in the offing. The high school, we're going to have to do a new high school also in the future. That new high school will probably have to happen in the early 2030s, which means, pretty soon we need to figure out what, when, where, and how. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Thank you.
We got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
I think, members of the board, related to this, before we bring, I think Schneider was doing or maybe Kim was doing a presentation for Schneider. This feels like a good time to add. I had shared an updated draft of the purchase agreement with Strategic Partners LLC about purchasing a piece of property in the northern part of the county. I shared that with the board this weekend for your review. we had approved a purchase agreement with an amendment last week at a special called meeting. That was shared with the seller. The seller made a counter proposal that Mr. Barger and Mr. Gainey felt good about. And they agreed with me that this draft would meet the needs of what we were trying to accomplish with the purchase agreement amendment, just in a different way. But because there's a change, the board does have to vote on approving the updated draft of the purchase agreement. And I've already shared that with you. So just in the interest of time, would the board be willing to take action on that today?
Yeah, it's time sensitive, so it'll
Yes.
fall within the policy. Yeah.
Is
You wanna
everybody
add that as number 4,
Or number?
or do you want to just add it and do it?
We'll put it as number-
Actually, Tori has it pulled up now.
I
You know,
think we
can
could
just
add
change it
it.
to number 3 and just insert
Mhm.
it in between this and.
It just, this feels like a good place to put it because it's relevant to the previous 2 proposed presentations.
And just so the public's
Okay.
clear, so when we approved it with some language that we changed out here, and again, the seller wanted some modifications to that language. Mr. Gainey and I agree that the seller's request of rewording it slightly still met the goals, like Mr. Cole said, that we were looking to get out of it. Board members, you received all of it in your email. I don't know that there's a need to go to closed session to rehash it out, unless anybody has any comments against the change in the wording here in the section in red. If not, Ms. Cook, if you want to just ask for a motion to approve it, we can approve it and move on.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the amended agreement?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll move on to the item 4 now. Thank you. What, Mr. Harmon?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm here to request to do a capital asset planning tool for HVAC, boilers, kitchen equipment. And the crux of this plan is to capture 2,500 pieces of equipment that we currently maintain. And what's really neat about it, it'll capture it, it'll log it in, and it'll in it in the software program provided by Schneider. And we'll be able to, it's a live living document, and it enables us to be more predictive instead of reactive on replacement cost, especially in the capital outlay projections that we do every year. Also, it keeps up, the software keeps up with RS means. So in our area, which equipment costs different in different areas of the state and country, so it maintains our area of what equipment will cost projected. So it just builds searchable inventory. And like I said, it's a live document. We can go in at any time and see our equipment. They'll tag each piece of equipment, the date it was put in, the age of it, projected replacement costs, and its life cycles. And seeing that our county is growing and more equipment's being added, I just see this as just a wonderful tool for us to help maintain it, because it's a huge cost to us, maintaining this equipment and trying to avoid surprises on major purchases and installments.
As a side note, I think with Snyder Electric, we had huge success with the lighting.
Yes.
A lot more savings, I think, than we initially thought.
Yes. And the building controls
and
that
the-
they put in and
mhm.
how we manage the building controls as well.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, does anybody have any questions?
Put it on consent.
Okay, put on consent.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. And that concludes the Operations Committee. Okay. In under 2 hours, no, I'm teasing.
Way to go, Ms. Cook.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ms. Smith is traveling this morning, and we wish her safe travels. So we'll call the Curriculum and Policy Committee to order. And up first, we have Ms. Hollis with the CTE Performance Data and Local Application.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present this morning. I'm here along with Jamie Madron and Daniel, and they'll be up in just a few moments to cover their areas, to present some of the highlights of CTE over the last year, and also our performance indicators from the school year 23-24. So I'm gonna start off with our performance indicators. I can't see the little print up there, so I'm gonna put my glasses on. 1S1 is our 4-year graduation rate. This is based on our concentrators, and again, this is 23-24 data. We got it graduation rate was greater than 95%. And then I have also our county overall graduation rate down there at the bottom.
Just go back real quick. I just wanted to reiterate to people maybe watching or listening at home, the point of tracking this particular data is to just show that students who complete CTE pathways have a much better chance of graduating on time. The federal government likes to track that because they put a lot of money into CTE programs. But I think it also proves that students who are thinking about their future, and that's what CTE does, it helps students plan for their future. They're much more engaged in their educational experience, and they tend to do better in their classes, not waste classes, and to graduate on time. And I think clearly the numbers show that. So greater than 95% of our CTE concentrators who were in the senior class graduated. And that went quite a bit beyond what the total graduation rate was.
I do think as we move towards having more concentrators and encouraging every student to have a CTE pathway, I do think we're gonna see that gap close.
Absolutely.
Because that is a goal to have every student participate in a CTE pathway prior to graduation.
Who is the cohort? How is that comprised?
It's your students that graduate within their 4th year of high school from the year they enter.
Is that like?
Ninth grade class.
The ninth, when they enter 9th grade and they graduate.
Yes. So in Brunswick County at a high school, the 9th grade class that comes in, how many of them graduate in 4 years?
On time.
So the 85.2 is less than what we just saw for our graduation rate.
Well, 85.2, is that the state rate or is that the Brunswick County rate?
That was last year.
That was
Last year's graduation
23,
rate.
24.
Okay.
So the 95% is this year.
23, 24.
The 95%?
Yes.
For
We
CTE.
get our data
Okay.
at the end.
I got you.
Like, they're still compiling data. All our
For this
data's
year.
not finalized at DPI yet, so I won't have it until approximately, comes around April. This year it was a little late, getting it to us, so this is 23, 24. This again is 23, 24. We also have performance indicators, 2S1, which is our concentrators who are proficient in their English 2 EOC. Our 2S2 is proficiency in math, and that is either Math 1 or Math 3, depending on when they take that. They have an accelerated pathway and they have a standard pathway. And the standard is if they're taking North Carolina Math 1 course for the first time in 9th grade or higher. And then your accelerated are those kids that take Math 1 in middle school and then Math 3 at a later time.
One thing I wanted to point out, there's a part of this that's a little bit misleading, Dawn. The graph says academic proficiency, but the numbers are actually the students who score levels 4 and 5,
Yes, it's
which
just
is
for
career and
4 to
college
5.
ready.
Yes.
Because if it were proficiency, it would include level 3s. So I just want to point that out. So it does not include
Threes.
level 3 students. It's just levels 4 and 5, which isn't actually proficiency as the state measures it. It's college ready as the state measures.
Yes, and on the snapshot that they provide us, this is actually the graphic from DPI that
Yeah.
they send. So yes, thank you for clarifying that. And it is noted up there, it is just scores 4 and 5. So you will see that in reading, we were above the average. Our concentrators are at 39.1. Math is one area of focus for this upcoming year. It was at 22.2. And then science, again, was above our average as a county, and it was at 59, and that's based on our CTE concentrators on those EOCs. Post-secondary placement, 6 months after our concentrators graduate, our CDCs do a survey. They call each student, reach out to each student and talk to them and find out what are they doing. Are they working? Are they in school? Are they working and going to school? What are they doing after they leave us? So this shows what our students, the 23-24 class was doing, and you'll see the greatest percentage, they go into employment. Now you will see that a lot of them also had an overlap. They were working and attending school, furthering their education. But this just shows where our students are going after they leave us, and 97% of them are doing something other than staying at home playing video games. So, this is very encouraging. However, 3% of them, we've got to dig down and find out why we're missing that 3%.
But I'm confused with those percentages there. So it's like you're well over 100%. What?
Because they can be employed and in school. So we count it if they're doing multiple things, or if they're in the military and attending a college program while they're in the military.
Okay.
They can check multiple buttons on it.
Multiple areas.
And how many of our, how many were we able to contact? What percentage? Is that?
We contacted 100%.
Okay, so we got
Yes.
feedback from 100%.
Yeah, we got feedback from 100%. My CDCs do a great job, and they call them in their senior year, and they get their phone number. They also get a friend's phone number. They also get a relative's phone number, because sometimes phone numbers change. They get a personal email address. They find out where their parents work, because as we know, phone numbers changed often, so we want to be able to reach that student. Sometimes they'll have another student that's in the building that's related to that student, and they'll find out contact information through them, but they've done a phenomenal job in getting 100% of our concentrated report completed. 5S1 is our program quality, and this is based on our post-secondary credentials. This data is from that 1S1 group that I showed you at the beginning. How many of those students graduated on time, first of all, and then how many of them graduated and left our school system with a post-secondary credential that was aligned to their concentrator pathway. It had to be aligned to the pathway they concentrated in. They can concentrate in more than one pathway, but as you will see, since 2021 we were at 50%, and in 23-24 we were at 79.1%. So our goal is for every senior to leave our school system with a credential. So I plan on continuing to see that increase, but we are moving in the right direction and to attain our goal.
It's good work.
5S4 is our overall program quality, and this includes everything except for credentials. So it includes our performance-based measures, CTE state assessments, and our local, which are PBMs that we build here in the county with our teachers. And the 24-25 data is preliminary. So you will see at North Brunswick High School, if you go back to 2021, they were at 80.5, then they took a dip. They've come back up, and they've exceeded where they began, and they're at 83.6. South Brunswick took a increase also this year, went from 82.5 last year to 87.9. West Brunswick from 80% to 84.6%. The Coast 75 to 89.2. And then us as a district as a whole, we went from 80.24 to 85.4% proficient on their state assessments, PBMs, or local proof of learnings. Credential attainment, this is any credential that's earned. The data we looked at a minute ago was just our graduating class that graduated with a credential. This is every student that's enrolled in a CTE course across our district that has earned a credential. 23-24, North Brunswick was at 58%. This year they were at 69.2%. South went from 45% to 74.2%. West 72 to 80.5%. And we lost that CDC this year. She retired. So she went out strong though. She went out very strong. Coast 61 to 65.6. And Brunswick County Schools overall, 66% last year to 73.1. My personal goal was 80%, and we did not attain my personal goal, but we're going in the right direction.
These are graduates?
No, this is every student that took a CTE course, and any credential that was offered, we offer as a district. So any credential that's been identified by DPI that aligns with our CTE courses that we offer those to our students.
So a credentialed student, a concentrator, What's the difference?
Concentrator is they complete a pathway, so most pathways are 2 courses. Some have 3, but most of our courses are 2-course pathway. Concentrator course is the 2nd level, and that goes into that other calculation when they graduate. This is every student, regardless if they're in a level 1, level 2, any CTE course that has a credential. So it's grades 9
So
through
you
12.
could get a credential off of one course?
Yes.
Yes. They could have earned multiple credentials, the same child, or they could have earned a credential.
How many of our pathways have credential?
The majority of them have at least one.
Okay.
I can't think of any that don't have any credentials that are aligned to them that we currently offer.
Like best case scenario of the CTE program, what we want is for them to be a concentrator in a pathway and earn a job credential. So they measure that. But then they also just want them, even if they don't finish a pathway, they want them to earn job credentials because that'll help them get a job when they get out of high school. So you can actually have a 2-course pathway where you earn 2 credentials for each course. So they measure the total number of credentials earned as well. It's just, 2 different measurements, but they're worth looking at separately.
How many credentials can our kids earn? How many are there in our system?
This year, I think we offered over, I want to say it was 6,024 total potential credentials. Sorry.
If
great.
everybody that took a credentialing exam
Right,
passed
that
it.
was the total possible.
Yeah, it's
So
amazing.
73% of those were
Mhm.
earned.
Yeah, when you think of the volume, I just
It's
want
a lot.
to sink in a
Yeah.
little bit, the volume of how many students and then how many credentials they could take, and then we had that many pass it. These are real life credentials that these kids are going to go off into the workforce with a certification that they could use. I mean, this is pretty
Right.
big.
Puts them above someone else when they go to look for a job, definitely. Our budget details for the upcoming school year are projected. This is a projection of 676 months of employment. I have 556 allotted to teachers, and that's 612, and then 106 months of employment allotted to our support staff. And then I broke that down there. We have 2 CIMCs, 2 middle school career development coordinators that are paid out of this PRC for months of employment, 4 high school CDCs, 1 coordinator for advanced studies, and 1 career ready coordinator. And then other CTE employees paid from other funding sources. We have 1 middle school CDC that was funded from a grant this past year. I have applied for that grant again. We're hoping that we get it, but she was funded by a grant, and I plan on hoping to be able to fund her this year with a grant. I'm paid out of local, and then my administrative assistant is paid out of state, which is PRC 14. PRC 14 is our state support funding, and we use this funding for program area requests that can be from foods for the foods lab, culinary, to hammers for carpentry, hospitality and tourism fabrics, or things that they need to do, different projects in there, any kind of curriculum materials they need. CTE New Teacher Institute or induction. Our CTE teachers, when they come to us, they go through an induction or an institute just to learn CTE, because CTE is different than the other content areas. And we want them to learn about the CTSOs, we want them to learn about the credential opportunities they'll be able to offer their kids and things of that sort. So we do fund for them to attend that. Supplemental resources for curriculum, if they need an extra book that is not an approved textbook in North Carolina, we have to fund that out of this funding. CTSO stipends are teachers that advise a CTSO, a Career Technical Student Organization. They get a stipend based on what they do. If they go to the regional level, state, nationals, they can get up to $1,000 stipend. Field trips for our students, and then the administrative assistant is funded out of that.
How do we fund
State.
our Paxton Patterson?
Paxton Patterson, some of it came out of 14 and some of it came out of 17, federal and state.
And are we gonna have Paxton Patterson in all the middle schools?
I'm getting to that, Mr. Gainey. PRC 17 is our federal funding. This is computer equipment, specialized equipment for the curriculum. So if it is specific to the curriculum delivery, I can purchase furniture such as computer desks, couldn't purchase just classroom desks, but I can purchase computer desks or certain type of lab tables for agriculture, things of that sort, if it is specific to the curriculum. Program equipment, CTSOs, their travel expenses when they go to nationals, those students that place first, second, or third at the state to compete at nationals, we do fund those students to attend, and also the teacher as the chaperone, and then workshops and training for our teachers and staff. PRC 83 is strictly credential funding. That's the only thing that can be, we can use this funding for, and that's our credential vouchers or credential prep. If there's a prep, a program that I can purchase for the kids to practice on the computer, or a book, or anything that the teachers ask for that's aligned to the credential that will help prepare the students to credential, we can purchase that out of this funding also. CTE updates, we have 3 additional Paxton Patterson labs coming this year: Waccamaw, Leland Middle, and Cedar Grove, and that will conclude every middle school in our district to have at least 1 lab. Leland Middle is getting their 2nd lab this year. Paxton Patterson and all of our elementary schools as career exploration. Our middle school CDCs go around to our elementary schools and offer this to our 5th graders, and it's been very successful this year. We put it in late this academic school year, and it'll go in full effect for the 25-26 school year. Concentrator blocks are new at the coast. That means that a kid comes to the coast and they only want to focus on culinary. So in the past, we've had to find a class to pair that student with because they come for 2 blocks in the morning or in the afternoon. So now if Dawn wants to come and take just culinary, she will spend the whole time she's there in the morning or afternoon with Chef Pierre, focusing on culinary. First grading period, she'll do level 1. Second, level 2, when they leave after that semester, they're a concentrator. So that is also, the teachers at the coast are very excited about that. It's not all of our courses this year we're piloted in. I think it's gonna be very effective. I hope the outcome is good. But the teachers, they do a lot of hands-on. So by the time they got the kids in there and got them engaged and got everything out that they needed to do, it was time to pack up. So in discussion with the teachers there, we felt like this would give them an opportunity just to be able to expand and do more hands-on, and also help those kids that are just being put in another class because they have to find something else to take while they're at the coast. Early childhood development is being added at the coast as a pathway through Jeannie Bryan. Summer camps, we have 2 this year, NCDOT and the healthcare career promotional camps. They're actually going on right now. Middle school CTSOs, I have encouraged my teachers in middle school to start offering CTSOs in our middle school to help build our high school CTSOs, so they get exposure to them in the middle school level. And pathway days, that was something we started this past year. We completed 8 this year, and I hope to expand those again next year.
Tom, if I just
Yes.
can add, all of these, I know she's coming to you for approval in terms of next year's planning, but all of this takes time and money, and both are, of which are always limited, but in CTE we're intentional about where we're spending the time and money. And what you're seeing is really student-driven decision-making on any of those line items that they have planned for. Intentionally decided on based on student interest or need, all the way to concentrator blocks at the coast. You know, students having to choose between going to why they're going to the coast originally, and then adding on some other class isn't always the best interest of a student, right? They're not always engaged if they are pushed into another course. We're trying, and Dawn really came up with a creative way to hopefully have students at the coast interested in that specific course and then completing it all in one semester, so they instantly become a concentrator. I just wanted to emphasize, I know she's going through a lot, but all of these take intentional planning, and I just want to give kudos to the CTE team as a whole, because this is good work.
Takes a village. Our goals for the upcoming school year is to continue to expand our CCP offerings through BCC that align with our current CTE pathways. We have a great partnership with them. Jamie does a great job. Dr. Lee, Dr. Smith working, and Greg Bland working with us. So we hope to continue to expand those offerings to our kids as they they are becoming concentrators quicker. We want to be able to put them into the BCC programs that align with the path they want to continue to learn in. Continue increasing the number of internships and obviously work-based learning opportunities as a whole. Increase the number of students active in CTSOs. Increase credential attainment, business partnerships. There's always room for improvement there, and pathway day opportunities to add those other pathways. We did 8 this year, to add the other ones that we didn't get an opportunity to.
Can I ask, how many local internship opportunities do we have now?
It's coming
Is that,
up.
okay.
So what's
I'm
a
jumping the gun
work-based
again.
learning opportunity?
That can be job shadowing, pre-apprentice, internship, all of those. So job shadowing, and I put that one there mainly because one of our focuses, and Daniel's gonna talk on this in a minute, is pushing down to the middle school to get them out in job shadowing opportunities. So that's a real push for the upcoming school year to get that up and running.
I shared with the board, I think, at our last meeting, where we were working with the 3 chambers of commerce on possibly building a program with them that would focus on 7th graders, and it would focus on exploring careers in businesses throughout Brunswick County, while at the same time teaching them leadership curriculum. And that aligns with what we're trying to do in CTE and pushing down to the middle school, because in middle school what we want that to be is about exploring career options in order to inform their registration decisions in the spring of their 8th grade year for high school. Because they really have to get going. I mean, these days, if you want to maximize the potential of college classes and job credentials you can earn, you got to get started in the 9th grade. So.
Thank you. CTSOs, this past year, these are the different CTSOs. We have FFA, DECA, FBLA, FCCLA, HOSA, and Skills. And you will see the Coast, they participated, students there participated in FCCLA at the state and regional level, and Skills at the regional level. I had an opportunity to take a group of, I don't remember if it was 8 or 9 staff and teachers up to C-Skills. This was a recommendation of Mr. Coles, and it was an eye-opening experience for every person that attended that. And Skills is what I'm pushing into middle school starting next year, but I am encouraging all of our high schools and all of our teachers to look into Skills. They didn't realize the volume of Skills. They didn't realize how many things fell under Skills. And they came back motivated. They're still talking about the trip. It was a great recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Cole, for giving us that opportunity.
What does that encompass? Skills? I'm not familiar.
It's
totally familiar with the
everything,
skills.
really. It can be carpentry. They had cosmetology. They had foods. They had crime scene investigation. Our fire team was there. Our public safety team was there. It's really anything in CTE. HOSA, or not HOSA, healthcare.
They offer a competition for every
Everything.
CTE
Wow.
pathway that is available in North Carolina. And Skills USA is a national organization
Right.
as well that has
Something.
state chapters. And that might be a good trip for some board members that might be interested
amazing.
next year. Is they have it at the Greenville Convention Center, as well as a couple of the community colleges in Greensboro at the same time. It's massive. And the business partnerships are unbelievable. So for example, like the masonry competition, I mean, they'll have 500 kids participating in the masonry competition. They're handed a blueprint and they're graded by master masons on, well, they have to meet the time deadline, but then also the appearance of their work and following the blueprint. And I think it's the top 5 winners in the masonry competition are offered a job contract after high school on the spot by the largest masonry company in the state.
Wow.
So like they can sign on the dotted line and have a job making $50,000-$60,000 a year, 18 years old, straight out of high school, based on winning that competition or finishing in the top 5. So.
It was
Great.
amazing, and the organization, I mean, it was top notch.
Hmm.
North Brunswick, they went to regionals and state with their FFA group. South, DECA, and FCCLA went to regionals and state. West Brunswick, FFA and DECA went to regional, state, and nationals, and then HOSA went to regional and states. And of course, we have to say congratulations to our own Miss Tiffany Graham for a great job she did last year as Brunswick County Schools Teacher of the Year, and Miss Carrie Babson, she's Brunswick County Schools Teacher of the Year and also Brunswick County Schools NCAD CTE Teacher of the Year. And do you have any questions for me? All right, Jane?
Miss Hollis, I just want to say thank you so much for your hard work. I think all of us in this room understand the importance of trades in CTE. It is beginning to outpace the enrollment for college. So I think parents and students in this county are so incredibly blessed to have this program, and the hard work that you do and what you do, and Mr. Daniel as well.
It's a team. I have an amazing team. I told Mr. Pascal that this morning. I said, I have an amazing team, even right down to my teachers.
And how you guys funnel the students from high school into the BCC program is just, it's amazing. And I think ours is top notch in Brunswick County. So
I hope to improve it, continue to improve it.
Good morning. I'm going to talk to you about Career and College Promise. That is our dual enrollment program. It consists of multiple different pathways. Just to start off, to give you a snapshot of our enrollment, it just keeps growing. This past spring and fall, we were hitting 579 students were participating in the CCP program, depending on spring and fall. Each of our schools just keep increasing. So it's an outstanding program. Our students, the wonderful thing is there's multiple different opportunities. I'll talk briefly about that. But we're going to highlight the increase in our college transfer pathways and our increase in our CTE pathways. They're both increasing. Our significant growth in what we call our workforce pathways, that is, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, and how we're expanding offerings and locations. This year has been great. Our HVAC 1 and HVAC 2 really did start strong. There's a great instructor in that program. He's actually from the West End. He builds great relationships with them. We figured out how to make it work for our schedules at North, Southwest, and the coast, and so we are filling up those classes. I kind of giggle about it because the idea was it would have some of our kids and then some of just normal Brunswick County residents, but looking at the fall, pretty much I think I filled in almost all the spots. So they're going to have to figure out another thing to help Brunswick County residents other than our students. So that HVAC 1 and HVAC 2 really have taken off. Our nurse aid now, we are teaching it at the coast, but it is taught by Brunswick Community College instructors. So we had the need, we were able to find a location at the coast nearby. This past year we did just what I call an AM session, 7:55 till 11 o'clock. Now next year we'll have what I call kind of before lunch and after lunch. So there'll be a first, second period class because it takes 2 periods and they get 2 high school credits, and then a third, fourth period. And we have the enrollment that we will have 4 of those classes, 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall. I already have the 20 students lined up for the fall and pretty much 20 for the spring. Also, you say 20, it's a state requirement that those classes can't have more than 10 in that nurse aid class. We have had some of our first phlebotomy class students this past spring, which I was excited about. We've always had a few EMTs, but it is increasing. I've got 2 right now in it and 2 set for, I've got more than 2 set for the fall. With the EMT, you have to be 18 years or older and have your driver's license. So there's sometimes situations that we've got to prep the students ahead of so they can know. Our pharmacy tech and our advanced construction have taken off. So just to give you a little glimpse, in 23-24, I had 27 kids in the program. 24-25, I had 57 that finished those workforce programs. That is just going to keep increasing because right now I know I'm going to have just 40 nurse aid students next year. So when we see our numbers for next year.
WCE is workforce.
Continuing education workforce. So it doesn't fall under the curriculum side, which gets you the college credit. It falls under the workforce side, which gets you a industry recognized credential so that you can get a job. So after nurse aid class. They'll be taking the test through the state, which actually we fund through CTE, which is great. As long as they're still currently a Brunswick County school student, we can use the credential funding to pay for that, which is not cheap.
So like at any community college, there's two sides. There's sort of the academic college credit side, and then there's the work credential side. So folks that sign up to learn how to work on their outboard motor, for instance, they can sign up for a 12-week course or an 8-week course on outboard motor repair, and they can earn a job credential that aligns to like Yamaha's mechanic something, you know. Our students, as part of the legislation for CCP, our students have always had access to those workforce credentialing programs. We've just never had a lot of participation in them. Most of the participation has been on the academic side, and we just as a group felt like that was a huge untapped area for our students, because most of our students don't plan to go straight to a four-year university. So we partnered with the community college to really talk about how can we push access to these classes, these workforce classes, to our students who are planning to go straight into the workforce after high school, because most of those kids have not been taking community college classes. So if they can complete a concentrator pathway with us and then immediately take a more advanced work credential at the community college through continuing ed, they're going to be even better off when it comes time to apply for a job. So that's what this is. And I'm really happy to see we've expanded it from 27 students to 57 students in 24-25, and it's going to be more than that this year.
And I'm excited to put it on there, but I'm excited we're adding electrical in the spring.
Yeah. Yep.
So you'll keep hearing more from us about it. So it's a great relationship we have with them. So there are different pathways. Our college transfer pathway has been the one that we have had the most growth in. This past year, 24-25, I had almost 1,400 courses were completed. So that's the number of courses that were completed. That also is an increase of students, just kind of showing the growth. Same thing with our career tech. Yep.
Just to add in, remember, and that's also scheduling from last year into this year. Just think about the number. We hope to continue to see increase. It might not go much higher than that maybe at this point, but the idea is that we're stepping into this through the counselors, pushing into them as well, working to make sure that they send students over to Jamie's team as soon as they identify that they're interested in a CCP class. So this is long-range work. I'll just reiterate, this started back the increase to whenever, Superintendent Cole came in, started pushing us all to thinking, how can we push more students towards Jamie's team if they are really interested in some of these pathways. So she's been doing good work all along. I think now it's coming in from the counselor side, principal side, working with Jamie's team to make this happen. So.
And just logistically, the board being willing to allow us to get all the high schools on the same bell schedule and move to transloading buses means that now kids in the afternoon don't have to choose between sports and courses at the community college. I mean, that's made a big difference too.
It's huge. And I mean, the fact that you pay for transportation. So it's not a have and have not. Our students get to participate.
So it's 1,400 number, what?
Courses that were taken this past year.
College credit courses.
College credit that will transfer to a university, four-year university or university that's articulated with the community
These are
college.
earned credits or just the number of classes that we signed up for?
So you're correct. That is the ones that completed it with some form of grade. If they got dropped, I took them off. But I also have that data, but I don't usually show it right now, but maybe I will add it next time. Career technical education pathway, same thing. Those are our welding, our cosmetology, our ITs. Those are booming. And so that is increasing. You'll see that those are the ones that fall under the career technical education pathways. CCP student enrollment as a whole is increasing. If you look from fall and spring of 23-24, and then this year, fall and spring, it's a nice steady incline. I will say it's been very beneficial. Any senior that I get in front of me that says they want to graduate early, I'm like, why? Why do you want to graduate early? Because you're giving up so many opportunities when that happens. And I think I got all our counselors on board with that too. Why? Let's keep you as a student so that if you need transportation, if you need that free lunch at the community college, we can make sure it happens.
And I don't wanna slide by this slide either, cause it's a little, misleading. 250 to roughly 500. And we're talking about doubling the number of students that are taking CCP classes in just 3 years. Just wanna reiterate the volume of students increasingly taking CCP classes.
And you get to see my face, but I'm blessed that we have two colleagues that I work with, Miss Katie Crunk and Miss Dominique Duzant. They are in the schools Monday through Friday, helping students, registering students, helping them even if they don't want to go to college, talking about entrances, and that ends up being, it's funded through a grant through the community college that we write every 5 years. And then y'all allow us to place them in the schools and have an office, so it is not just me. Total number of CCP courses, that pretty much was the same one from before, but that added the CTP and the workforce ones together for this past year. So our career and college promise, you can see it's a steady increase. Our goal is for that to continue to happen. At some point, I know it might level off, but as long as we keep increasing the opportunities and what the students need, like for example, the electrical this year. Now my thought is, what are we gonna do next to help our students? We are gonna work with the community college to figure out our growth. They are doing a great job also with their marketing, and they've kind of got me on board because we're in that day where our kids, they listen and they see things, and making sure Brunswick Community College is out there and one of the, like, oh, I didn't realize they had that here. And it's growing just like we are. They've broken ground on Mr. Alan Holden's building that will be coming soon.
But we are a big part of that.
You are.
So these numbers make Dr. Smith very happy as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any questions for me? Okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to go over our work-based learning information from the past year. And I guess to touch on something that came up when Dawn was up. So when we talk about work-based learning, we got to think about like big umbrella picture, right? These are all the touch points where we are connecting students with industry. Internships are a part of that, but it's not the whole piece. So when we do job site visits and these job shadows and these the industry tours, the pathway days, all of these are work-based learning touch points, okay? So big picture, and then I'm going to talk specifically about our internships. So if we take a look at where we've come over the past few years, in the greenish color is fall of 24, spring of 2025, this spring, and this summer currently. So if we go back to the 22-23 school year, we had 8 internships. Right now, that number's at 49. So we've seen a pretty decent growth from 22-23, 23-24, into 24-25. So the things that I attribute to this is, one, an increased focus on making these connections. 2, the CDCs at the high schools are really my go-to people, and they are getting out there and they're getting, they're grabbing these kids and be like, don't you, I saw you working so-and-so, we can get you an internship for this. And so they are really out there pushing this initiative, which really helps me to connect to those students. We are going into the classrooms quite frequently at all the high schools to try to be there to promote, to answer questions students might have, and to try to get them on my working list. I'm like, I'm putting you on my working list. So that's what we have going. But those are our numbers over the past couple of years. Obviously, so our strategic plan goal for this year was 10. So we hit 49. I know we're going to make some adjustments there, and I think that's great. And I hope to continue to see steady increases in these numbers. My working list for the fall currently is the largest it's been so far. I can't guarantee that they'll all get placements, but right now on my tentative fall list of students that have requested, we're sitting in the 30s. So this past fall I had 7. So it's definitely on the rise.
And just
Yep.
obviously giving kudos to Daniel's work on this, but it does take a team, like he said.
Absolutely.
But think of the lead measures that we're setting up now. So we focused on credentialing, right? We focused on concentrators. Now we're getting all these concentrators, which is required to get an internship. We're increasing the net, right? So now when we cast the net, we're going to catch a lot more students that can qualify for internships. Then Daniel can take it from there. So just there's a lot of intentional work all throughout. I just don't want to skate past it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because when we increase the opportunities for students to earn that concentrator status earlier, then we increase the opportunities for them to then engage in work-based learning, internships and apprenticeships where they're available specifically. And given that students can earn a credit twice, the sooner they can get onboarded into this process, the more likely they are to earn a second one. And I will say the number of students that I've had come back and say, I want to do a second internship is pretty high. I don't have specifics, but a lot of these students come back and say, can I do another one? Can I do this again? So they are looking for that opportunity once they've done it.
And those could turn into jobs as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously that's
And
the next
in
step.
some cases they are jobs.
I mean, that's the next step is after the internship. So.
Depending on the situation, I mean, there have been cases where I've gone to a business and said, hey, I've got a student looking for this, and they actually, instead of doing an unpaid internship, they hire them. So in some cases, students are getting hired, and that can still be the internship because we still build a learning plan as part of that. Yeah, so it's kind of nice when you can help a kid find a job. Like it makes you feel good as a teacher. You know.
That's great.
Yeah, so Daniel knows that he's going to be rewarded for busting his initial goal metric. He's going to be rewarded by getting
Another goal.
Another goal.
I was thinking.
You going on vacation? Just going on vacation, right?
I will say this though, like low key, when we were talking about metrics for internships, and he and I were talking, I told him that I absolutely believed that if he got after it in this county with the support I had seen in conversations I had had with business owners, that I felt like he could get to 100 internships in 3 years. And he thought I was crazy. But we're at 49 now this past year. I really think it can be done as like a stretch, sort of a stretch goal of trying to reach. So
I think it's definitely feasible. And so part of that then too comes with building our partnership network.
right.
So in order to place more kids, I have to have more places to place kids, right? So it's sort of a scaling capacity thing. So this past year we unveiled a way of branding that partnership, that connection with the district through our Tides initiative. Now understand, not every place that offers an internship has necessarily signed on with our partnership. And those two things don't have to be in place, but we want to capture them. Because then, if we can get them into this partnership, maybe they do internships, but maybe they're also willing to come into classes and talk about what they do. Maybe they're also willing to host job shadows or site visits or mentor a student through a project. So the partnership is really designed to plug those businesses in all the different ways that work-based learning affects students, not just the internships, although the internships are the thing we're really trying to, it's sort of the end goal. So this year so far, these are the new folks that signed on this past February. So Novant did sign on with us as a partner and actually made a contact this past week with one of their regional folks, which gave me some insight into how we might get some more kids either unpaid or even potentially hired on with them. They've reduced their hiring age to 16. So that means now that clears a path for us to potentially plug it. Because health science is one of the biggest application areas I get, and it's one of the hardest to fill because of HIPAA regulations and all of that. So Pioneer Strategies, Ascension Property Services, that gentleman works for an electrical company as well, but he is the chair of the Workforce Development Construction Sector Partnership. So that connection with him has now connected us with the construction consortium that's working in this region to try to build out that workforce. And so we're plugging in with them, and then we can then connect our students through our high school programs and the CCP programs to try to funnel those kids into those jobs. As we're booming, we need builders and things like that. The Cape Fear Council of Governments, they specifically may not be able to host an intern, but they are a connection that can then network for us. And then BCC signed on with us this last time.
Pioneer Strategies, is that Commissioner Williams?
It is. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's been great about coming to our business advisory council meetings and things like that. So Right now, currently, businesses and organizations that are partnering with us in some major capacity are sitting at 39. And our strategic goal for this year was 10. So that one was exceeded as well. And I think that we'll continue to see that expand exponentially. That said, if you know of any organizations that want to work with us, I'm happy to.
Or if you're listening at home,
Yes.
contact Daniel Richardson.
Yes.
So,
D. Richardson at. Yeah. So, hopefully we'll, as we have our next Business Advisory Council, we'll bring more of those on to officially sign. And then, we try to promote those. What we can offer them is say, hey, these are our partners, right? And so it's free advertisement for them, but more importantly, it's a pipeline infusion for them. And they see the value. These businesses see that these students sometimes are their workforce, but also they're their future workforce. So then some career exploration opportunities that happened over the years. So these are things outside of internships. We attended several festivals and events that were outside of necessarily just the school day. We did the band classic, the Oyster Festival, the Fall Festival, Spring Festival. We actually hosted a PD session with our CTE teachers and some business partners, bringing them together so they could talk about the needs they see in their organization and how our CTE programs can be responsive to that. And I think it was a really cool opportunity to bring the teachers together with our partners. We've been partnering with chambers of commerce. Now we kind of have a presence in all three chambers. I mentioned the construction sector and then also the hospitality sector partnerships. We recently just participated in the CHEC, which is the Southeast Area Health. I kind of forget what the other, but it's about getting everyone plugged into the healthcare industry. What's exciting about this one is they are trying to develop apprenticeship programs in this region. That's something we don't have a lot of, are the apprenticeships currently existing, and one of their goals is to develop these. So when the apprenticeships come online, BCC was part of this meeting, then the pre-apprenticeships that we can plug our students into become available. And then some of the other engagements, we did the Brunsco Biz Breakfast, which is happening again this year. The convening that happened with workforce development on educational attainment, our business advisory councils, we've presented at PAC. So these are some of the community engagements over the past year. Some of our student touch points that I kind of mentioned that are aside from internships, Dawn mentioned our pathway days. We had BCC Disaster Day, the Discover BCC event. They are a big partner for us. The 8th grade coast tours, as well as, they go to the high schools, but we also bring them into the coast so they can see the CTE programs that we offer for them there. Dolphin for a Day. We brought in Be Pro, Be Proud for the first time. And we're working to try to schedule them for a longer period of time so that they can spend some time at each area and we can funnel more students in. Our Careers on Wheels event for 5th grade. We did an Exploring STEM and CTE partnership with some of our science folks out at Duke for some hands-on things for middle school. So some of this does target earlier grades because we realize if we can get into middle school and then elementary school, we start building this mindset towards, okay, now I'm going to develop my career development plan. Now I'm going to take my courses. Now I'm going to do an internship. Now I'm going to get a credential. And now we've developed students that are really prepared to go do what they want to do. Job Shadow Day, I'm working on a plan to expand that into the middle school this year for this spring so that we can get some of the middle school students into some employment places. Though we're trying to come up with a strategy to do that in a very controlled way for younger students. We've done our career fairs and at all the high schools and the coast. Jamie and I have been doing flex block sessions, in particular at North Brunswick High School. We've been coming in during flex periods, but we've hit all the high schools there. CHOP St. James is actually, we did that this year. Now they're going to 2 events. If you've been to the CHOP St. James event, it's one of my favorite things ever. One, because I get to eat. But the way to watch 3 high school kids stand up there and have all those members club members staring at them while they prepare a meal. I mean, I don't think I would want the pressure, and they do such a great job. And Chef Pierre does an amazing job training them. Our post-secondary transition conference and Careers on Wheels. So some new engagements coming up. We are going to be adding some pathway days. That includes our Culinary Arts Day. We're going to add something for technology, business and marketing, hospitality and tourism, and automotive. We're, as I mentioned, trying to bring Be Pro, Be Proud back for a longer period of time. We're looking at adjusting College and Career Fest a bit to be more of a focus. Since the high schools each have their own Career Fest, we're looking at now, can we do something that concentrates on the schooling and jobs out of the coast? So it kind of becomes the coast's career fair, and then the additional St. James Middle School job shadowing, and we're going to add a dolphin for the day. So we have 2 of those. And I think
That's the Dolphin, the BCC Dolphins, not to be confused with the Union or the
yeah,
South Florida.
yeah,
That's
we're not
correct.
trying to send them back.
There are
to
lots of dolphins
elementary.
around, so just
Right.
make sure you.
Trying to bring them to the bigger
Yeah.
dolphins, grown-up dolphins. Some grants that we received this year. We received the Great Expansion Grant, which Dawn mentioned, that funds our 3rd middle school CDC. We did receive a Plasma Games grant for the district that offers some science and STEM-based instructional resources. We have a healthcare promotion grant that's funding our healthcare summer camp going on right now. West Brunswick received a grant to fund a new greenhouse, and then the CTE modernization grant to help with some healthcare instruction.
And that greenhouse grant, that was about $100,000.
$100,000.
So we're not talking about your backyard greenhouse. This is a big greenhouse.
They do
Yeah,
a good
this
job
is
with that.
state of the
They
art.
really do.
And I think
Ordered yesterday.
Ah,
that's our work-based updates. Any questions about? Thank you very much.
Great
Good
job.
Thank you.
Great.
Good job.
Okay, you got it. Thank you.
Okay, up next we have the Yonder Pouches for High School, a discussion with Mr. Cole.
yeah, this is, I would think, be pretty quick. The question was brought to my attention by the board just to investigate what it would cost and what it would look like to expand Yonder Pouches to the high schools. I received an estimate from Yonder. In order to do that, to expand it to all of the high schools, we're currently, as a part of the middle school expansion, going to be adding it to the Achieve Academy and the Rise Academy at the coast. So we would be doing sort of a small high school pilot at the coast. But to add it to the early college high school and the other 3 traditional high schools, we'd be looking at right at $130,000 to do that. So that's the cost estimate. We're a little late in the summer to be ordering Yonder Pouches. I would question, if we decided to do that, if we would get our Yonder Pouches in time to be able to get them organized and rolled out at the high schools at the beginning of the year. So I would just say the board hasn't asked for it, but my recommendation would be that I think it's best to stick with the expansion that we've already approved. Maybe keep this in mind for the future. Obviously, that would be up to the board, but that's just my recommendation at this time.
I agree, because proper rollout has to be part of this, and we did a proper rollout before. We're doing a proper rollout for middle schools, and so.
And we can continue to see what the benefits are in the middle schools, and then we'll have more information
Yeah.
That's correct.
each successive year, which this will be the 2nd year, but first year for some of the new for all of the middle schools.
I agree, Mr. Cole. We just continue down the path we're already going down.
But it's good to know what the
It's good to know what it would
Cost would
cost.
be.
Cost, yeah.
It'll be more expensive a year from now, though.
Well,
But
sure it will.
just like everything else.
I thought, you had said there were some challenges about high schools that we don't have in middle schools.
Well, high school scheduling is different. Obviously, following the CTE and CCP presentation,
Yeah.
Our high schools, particularly our traditional high schools, but even the early college, that building is on the community college campus, but the community college is not going to have the same requirements that we have. They don't have the same requirements for dress code. They're not going to have the same requirements for phones. So when our high school students leave our buildings to go to the community college, they come and go all day long. I mean, our high schools are basically small community colleges at this point for all of our students because of the expansion of the work-based credentials that our students are taking at community college. So, at middle school, kids come in first thing in the morning, the bell rings, they're there all day, unless their parents come and check them out until the end of the day. High schools, kids are coming and going every class period, all day long. So logistically, it's a little harder to manage, because it's not a one time a day thing.
Right.
You know, it's an every class period thing. So that would be something that we would need to consider. Now, other people are doing it. I mean, it can be done. It's just not quite as easy as middle schools.
Right. Well, I mean, I think based on, I think some of the interest in the high schools has come from the success of the program and the teachers' reports about the improvement in the school environment in our pilot locations.
I would agree.
So as we expand that this year, I only anticipate that there'll be even more interest next year. So I would say, if it seems like we're gonna be, moving in that direction, what you just went over, all those different things, we certainly need to go ahead and start getting all of that worked out.
Well, I think in the very beginning, we kind of talked about if it was going to be a 6-12 sort of idea, possibly, we were thinking of it in terms of a 3-year sort of
Right.
rollout. And we're in year 2, and I think we're right where we had planned to be, which is things went well at our 2 pilot middle schools. Now, there are some things that we're going to do differently next year, but otherwise, it was very successful. So now we're going to more than double the size of the project by putting it in 3 more middle schools. So we'll have 5 middle schools plus the Achieve Academy and Rise Academy at the coast. And that'll, I think, set us up that if the board decides they want to expand it further in the 3rd year, we will certainly be ready for that. And if not, I still think it's great in middle school.
And I think it's just some discussion we were having earlier, Ms. Moffitt had mentioned, the state legislatures across the country are tightening down a lot more on cell phones in schools. So it could be that it becomes a, law versus a statute, and we just
That's right.
work with that as it goes.
That's right.
So,
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, well, up next we have Ms. Quinlan with the Lions Club MOU
Oh, thanks.
and the interim nursing contract amendment.
I do apologize. If
Oh,
I can
sorry.
ask Dawn to come back up. We just forgot one piece to.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I apologize. This is for our local application. We have to do this each year. We are in our off year, so I will begin working on our comprehensive local needs assessment up and running in August at the latest. But we are asking for approval for our local application, which is based on the information I presented today, so I can submit it to DPI. Any questions on that? We're in our off year.
So is this an action item or we put this on the consent?
I put it as an action item.
Oh, okay.
for today, you got today's date on there, so. I'll make a motion, okay. Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Barger and a second by Ms. Cook. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I
Thank you,
apologize.
no problem. Thank you, Mr. Pascal. And Ms. Quinlan, sorry about that.
Good morning, that's all right. So, first is Lions Club. The Lions Club in our area has split into clubs now. So this is the second Lions Club agreement for consent agenda. They handle our vision screenings in the district for our schools. And so this is just the second one to encompass all of the Lions clubs in our area.
That's a great program.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, once the screenings are done, children need the glasses, are you still, do you have I know Dr. Mashure's Vision Square for years has, continually tried to reach out to supply those glasses that kids need. And I don't know if that's happening or if that's,
So
what happens.
Nurse Falling is the one that facilitates this with the Lions Club, and I know, excuse me, through the glasses process, it comes from multiple organizations. They
Okay.
work and provide us with feedback, and our social workers do that as well, and then our nursing staff. So we don't just get that through the Lions Club. We have multiple entities and student services that help handle that. But
Okay.
if there is a
Because
contact,
I know in the years past, they have always been open to helping. It's just, I don't know if there's an agreement with them now, but they have locations in Southport, Charlotte, Calabash, Dr. Mashure, so you might want to just check with them and see, because for years they have wanted to,
You're talking about specifically
to give,
providing
glasses for free, right, I would say for free, but yeah, providing glasses for those children that are in need
I'll follow up with Nurse
of that
Falling.
glasses.
Sure,
So-
thank you for that. I'll follow up with her and see if that's one of the contacts we can utilize.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
And you want this for consent, right?
Yes, please.
All right.
All right.
And then our next is also a consent agenda item. This is our interim healthcare contract, which is a multi-year contract. The vendor has requested that we increase the contract to align with the current state Medicaid hourly rate in order to maintain that contract.
That's from 48 to 52.
It's actually 49 to 52. That 48 is a typo, so
Okay.
I will make sure that's corrected with Ms. Bullard, but that's 49 to 52.
Consent as well.
Okay, consent, yes.
Yep.
All right. And Mr. Strauss with the Boys and Girls Club MOU, and I see that you have this for action today.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm new to this role, so bear with me as I do this for the first time. So this is, as I take the role, just kind of dot my I's and cross my T's, making sure everything's good to go. So this is an action item for the MOU for the the Boys and Girls Club. They do after-school programs for Supply, Bolivia, Virginia, Williamson schools with potential for future sites, and they also host a summer camp out of Lincoln Elementary School that they do for all BCS students, and they bus the kids 6 through 12 to the Brigade Campus Teen Center in Wilmington for those movements. So they do a summer camp during the summer, and then after-school programs for the following school. So we're just extending this MOU for the next school year, essentially.
Okay.
And they've been a great partner of ours, and they're providing us service to tons of kids. And
Yes.
so
They provide a great service because they give back to the community. So they
Mhm.
take grants, so they can offer lower cost childcare. So they're a great partner for us.
Okay.
motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Barger, second by Ms. Cook. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can we take a quick break?
Uh,
Before we go to the policy?
Take a quick break.
Yeah.
Mr. Gainey wants to take a break, so we'll take a, what, 5-minute break?
Let's go to the
I'll take
restroom.
it.
HR team is working to develop a formal performance recognition system. One measure of quality leadership are school EVOS scores, which measure our overall student growth in a given school. Currently, we offer initial contracts to school principals for a period of 2 years, and in some instances 4 years if the school principal has a proven track record of exemplary performance. Subsequent contracts after that initial 2 or 4 year are granted for a term of 4 years in accordance with our board policy 7425 and also General Statute 115C 287.1. And our board policy states that school administrator contracts will be granted, extended, or renewed only for individuals of proven ability who strive for excellence. Our team plans to recommend to the superintendent and to the Board of Education a 4-year contract extension for any principal whose school exceeds expected growth 2 of the 3 most recent school years, beginning with the October 2025 release of the EVOS data by the State Board of Education.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Are we extending the contract, or is this a new 4-year contract from that date?
It would be a new 4-year contract because we can't go longer than 4 years total.
So it's a new 4-year
It would be a new
contract.
4-year contract. Does not require us to change language to our existing policy, which already provides for 4-year contracts. We would just offer them, even if they are in year 2 or 3 or even 4 of their current contract, we would offer or issue them a new. We would recommend that the board issue them a new 4-year contract based upon their excellent performance. And there's no additional cost to the school system for being able to offer this, and would become part of our program to reward high-performing staff. Any feedback or concern? Clarifying the language, but there's really no action.
I read through it and I didn't see any. This is for information?
Yes. Just for information, we would be able to recommend this within our existing policy, but just want to see if we have the board support.
I was reading through it and I didn't see any red line like changes. So
No, sir.
Where did the changes come in?
There would be none. Just wanted to assess your support for such an initiative if we were to bring a slate of names before you in October to recommend new 4-year contracts based upon that performance at that point in time.
This just isn't something that we have done in the past. Normally, folks
Well,
Um,
is it part of our policy currently?
It's allowed within our policy. We are able to renew or extend contracts. But currently we just, if we issue a 2 or 4-year contract, it just runs its course, and at the end of the contract term, we make a recommendation for the next contract. This would just allow, what we're proposing is to extend it before those 4 years are up for our highest performing.
So it's not a change in the policy, it's utilizing current policy that we had not utilized in the past.
Yes, sir.
And the reason being is because the scores have not been part of the equation.
Right, we have not based those decisions on scores alone, or on growth alone.
And our team just feels like principals whose schools are exceeding growth are demonstrating exemplary leadership, which is what the board says in its policy they would like to do, is reward that. If they are getting results, then one way we can reward them that doesn't cost us any additional money is to automatically give them a new 4-year contract, which also I would hope help us to retain them, because other people are going to be trying to hire them too.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody looks at school grades, and they look at high growth schools.
So when the EVOS comes out, you would be able to extend it at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We just bring it back to the board on the personnel report.
Okay.
And again, it doesn't require a vote by the board. It's allowed within our current policy. We just wanted to make sure that you guys were in support of something like this,
Sure.
as a change in procedure.
Sounds good.
It's already in the policy.
Yeah.
Just-
So kind of along that same line, we would like to do something similar with our teachers who exceed expected growth of the students in their classrooms. Our teacher contracts are also governed by board policy and general statute, but they're administered a little bit differently. The general statute language reads a little bit differently. So currently, the state statute directs us to offer teachers who are new to Brunswick County Schools 3 one-year contracts. So their first 3 years with us, no matter their experience, the most they can get is a 1-year contract for their first 3 years with Brunswick County Schools. And that's the same across the state, any teacher new to a school system. At the completion of those 3 years of employment with the school system, state statute allows us to offer them a 1, 2, or 4-year contract. Our current board policy, we offer 1 and 2-year contracts. The vast majority of our teachers would receive a 2-year contract, and as long as they remain in good standing with the school system, we come back to you each year and ask to extend their contract by a year. So basically they stay in a 2-year contract as long as they remain in good standing with the school system. What we're proposing would be to allow the school system to offer a 4-year contract to any teacher who is in good standing, has completed those first 3 years with Brunswick County Schools, and whose EVOS index indicates that their students exceeded expected growth 2 of the 3 most recent school years. On page 3 of the attached policy, we added the proposed language that would allow us to recommend a 4-year contract extension, as just explained. And so we're requesting, providing this as a first reading to the board now, and requesting any feedback or thoughts on this proposed policy amendment.
Yeah, reading over it, I first of all, I didn't have any issues with it. The second thing was, we've talked about for a long time rewarding our teachers who are doing a great job and having exceptional scores, and for a lot, we've tied it to dollars a lot, and it really just kind of stuck in the mud, never got anywhere. I think this is a great way to reward those teachers on the surface level right now as we continue to work through bonuses and stuff like that potentially in the future for outstanding growth scores. So I'm all for it, and thank you for bringing it to us. I think it's a great idea.
I still think that we need to tighten that language up about extension or a new contract.
Okay.
I just think it's much clearer when you say a new contract. That means you're creating a contract from that date forward, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Isn't that what we're proposing?
That's what a new contract is.
And is that what we're proposing in this?
Yes.
So it technically would not be an extension, it would be a
If
new
you still
contract.
have 2 years left on your contract, you say you're gonna give them a 4-year contract extension. Some people would think they now have a 6-year contract.
Right. And if you read back the section above this in the policy, talks about an extended 2-year contract. So that was keeping in the same,
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe,
language.
yeah, okay. But I'm just saying it seems like the language is just a little, notwithstanding the fact that it's already maybe in there, expressed in
Right.
the same way.
All right. Well, we can dig into that a little bit in the next couple of weeks, and maybe bring it back for a second reading at the board meeting.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That'd be good.
Okay.
And just definition of teacher in good standing, that would be their annual summative evaluations, that they would be proficient or better in every area.
In addition, they couldn't be on a monitored or directed growth plan. They could not have received any letters of reprimand or suspensions.
Right.
So something happens during, just so hypothetically, during their new 4-year contract, and they don't meet growth, then the next time around, typically
Yeah,
they're gonna
one
continue to meet growth, but, say
Right,
they're
they would not be
moved to a
eligible for a
different grade
4-year.
level, and then they have new curriculum, and then they have all this, then there's certain factors that
Mhm.
cause them not to grow, not to have that growth.
Then they
I'm
would
just-
revert back to
yeah,
our
I'm just
traditional
thinking,
2-year.
I mean, we would handle that as with any other
Just
teacher
anything.
through the evaluation process. They would just have a 4-year contract.
Right, it's not
it is-
changing anything monetarily, it's just,
No.
as far as their, it's just
It's
performance.
providing a teacher who has exhibited over a period of 3 years their ability to produce outstanding growth results. Is providing them with more job security.
Exactly.
Because it is, it's a longer process to improve a teacher who has a 4-year contract instead of a 2-year contract. But typically, teachers that consistently are exceeding growth don't typically have.
Continue.
Yeah, they're going to continue.
Right.
But stuff happens. You can even have a teacher who gets pregnant and has a child, and they're out for a semester. Their students aren't going to grow as much because they weren't in the classroom. I mean, that happens, and it's not their fault. It's just life. So you're right, it can happen. But in general, we think as a team that it's a great way to reward our teachers that are getting the best growth results, rewarding them with job security.
And I think if
Yeah, I
word
think
gets
it's
out
good.
too, you know, it could also be a great recruitment tool. They'd still have to work their 3 years with us before they would be eligible for this, but it could
Right.
also serve as a great recruitment tool as I was investigating, you know, the teacher contract policies of like surrounding school systems and also some of the highest performing school systems in the state, just to see what they were. This is something that we don't see in other school systems yet.
Yeah, and I mean, and if, let's say a teacher who has exceeded growth 2 out of the last 3 years, a veteran teacher in another school district wanted to come over here, it would give us the ability to offer them a 4-year contract instead of a 2-year contract.
Is there, shouldn't we also tie something into the extension, some language that, you know, if they go, if during the term of the new contract, if they go 2 years in a row without growth, because if they go 2 years in a row without growth, then they haven't done 2 of the last 3.
Well, then they wouldn't be eligible for the.
Yeah.
I'm saying, once you've given them the new contract,
Okay,
that in order to maintain that contract is active, that they have, that they cannot
Regress.
not meet growth
Yeah.
2 years in a row. Because if you meet it 2 years, if you don't meet it for 2 years successively, then you're no longer doing 2 out of 3.
Well, this would be for exceeding growth.
this is for
Or
exceeding.
exceeding,
Mhm.
whatever the qualification is to get the extension, it seems like there should be some language in the contract that same quality.
That you keep that
it's,
status.
you know, that this contract and the term of this contract is based on the understanding that that same performance will be maintained during the new contract.
That's what we're just saying, well, hopefully that will, but it's kinda hard to define, I don't know, just
Maybe we
kinda
can
hard to-
discuss that.
Do you
Maybe we
understand
can
what I'm
discuss.
saying?
Well, I mean, the contract's the contract. I mean, we can't give them a contract and take away the
You
contract.
can write it into the terms of the contract.
Well, maybe we can discuss this. We're not making a decision today, so maybe we can discuss this a little further later, and I can get a little more detailed understanding of what you're asking for.
I mean, some people would say, "Oh, I got a contract for 4 years. I don't."
But I think the ones that work
Yeah.
hard enough that their students exceed expected growth are probably not wired that way, has been my
Well,
experience.
I would hope not.
You know, it takes a lot of hard work to get students to that point, and then I think if we have this provision where it could be taken back away from you at some point in time, you kind of loses the attractiveness of the reward.
Okay.
That's a good plan, just look at some of the details.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Weesey, contract with the board.
Sure. So as part of our review of our processes and procedures, we came across this in our board policy that actually surprised me a bit, that we were required to bring any school level contract to the board when it exceeded $5,000, and that far exceeds the requirements of any contract we have in the district. So I brought it to the superintendent and said, what do you think about changing this to the superintendent? That had to have been the initial intent. And he said, sure, but how many $5,000 contracts do we have? You know, let's look at maybe 10. And we do. We have an excessive number between pictures and yearbooks and all of those things. So I'm bringing this for consent, hoping that you'll approve this so that we can handle all of the normal school contracts in-house with the superintendent's approval, and then of course bring any larger ones following board policy as they're set for the rest of the district.
This would really delay school
It
level
would
things
incredibly
happening. but yeah,
delay
so
school
I'm-
level contracts. As it is, we quite often in finance get them that are, $5,000 amounts that they needed approved yesterday.
Right.
So this
Especially
would
the high
this-
schools. I mean,
yeah,
they have so
they have a
much
lot
of that,
going
so.
on there, so.
I'm good with putting on consent.
Yeah.
So you've been operating under this amount until, as we say,
The more you know.
is 10,000 enough
The more
though?
you know.
Is 10,000 enough?
I think it is because we'll bring that to the superintendent, and then if
Okay.
it meets the other threshold, of course, we bring it to you. In all my years, I've never seen us have a contract at a school that exceeded our allowable
And
amount.
I think after a year, we'll have a much better idea, and if we need to request a policy change, we can come to the board with that. But I think this will be a great place to start.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
With that.
Okay, that concludes the Curriculum and Policy Committee. And we'll just have Ms. Weesey remain right where she is. She knows what she's doing. We'll call to order the Finance and HR Committee. And first up, we have Ms. Weesey with the amended lottery fund application and budget amendments.
Sure. So last month I brought you a lottery application for $900,000. I was premature by maybe a week or so. We got a new report in that showed we were going to hit the $1 million mark this year, and the county had processed on their side for the $1 million. So I'm just asking to come back and have that adjusted to the $1 million. It's what we anticipate receiving, and we'd like to go ahead and pay that debt for that amount rather than the $9 million.
Okay.
So if we could put that maybe on action for today, so I can get it over to them. If I could get approval, that would be great. They're holding on this.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Barger,
Second.
a second by Mrs. Cook. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so,
And now budget amendments, as we knew would happen at the end of the year, start rolling in quickly from the state. So we have received funding, stated budget amendment number 5. We've received some additional developmental day funding, some professional development funds for EC. The big ones there, we've received some funding from the state to cover some salaries for child nutrition during the potential tropical cyclone 8. This helped cover when we paid our child nutrition folks to work other locations when their school was closed. It helped offset some of those costs. And then a big one there is we received our national board certification fees to be able to reimburse teachers for those. We had, I think, about 20 teachers we received this for. So that was exciting, great news. The next one we have is federal budget amendment. We suddenly got an additional $105,000 from the prior year's federal grants for EC, so we're going to move that in to cover some salaries. It'll allow us to roll some more of this current year's money into next year, and then a teeny tiny bit of significant growth in our English language money. And then we received insurance money to help cover some of the expenses throughout the year. So the amount we're asking you to appropriate now are the ones that actually will cover the remainder of the costs, to clean up some of the smoke, some of the flood remediation, some of the things we had done at South High. So this is just kind of truing up that budget for the year. The remainder of those funds will stay in that disaster budget for any potential disasters in the future. And then we're appropriating some rental proceeds to help offset some of the costs of repairs to that building. So that would be down at our new operations facility. And then capital amendment number 9, we received payment on our behalf by the state for 3 more buses. These are buses that were delivered last year. They're making the payment for us, so this is just really an accounting entry. We don't actually get the money.
But we get the buses.
But we got the buses. Special revenue, we received some more Medicaid funding, and some culinary arts department keeps on doing their catering, and they keep getting the money in. These are all pretty standard entries. The FAFSA grant materials, we received a grant earlier in the year for $2,000. They gave us an additional $1,000, so that'll go to help with that next year. And I think that's all of them. I think that's it. So if we could put those on action as well to help us close the year, that would be great.
Motion.
all right,
Getting to the last
motion by
minute.
Mr. Barger,
Second.
second by
Thank you all
Ms.
so
Cook.
much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, settles that, all right. And then we have, Ms. Brosey back up with the ProCare contract for EC,
Yes, ma'am.
teacher assistant services.
Yes, ma'am. We've contracted with ProCare in years past to provide EC, teacher assistant, and speech language pathology staffing for our exceptional children's department. This opportunity is still available to us if we choose to continue. This at a cost of $32 to $35 per hour, which when you factor in the cost of benefits is comparable to what we're currently paying our Brunswick County Schools employees. Our schools have requested that 3 of the EC teacher assistants that we used this past year, that we continued their services. They've experienced good success with them, and so there are specifically 3 included in this packet that they would like to bring back to start the school year. And this proposed contract would have a not to exceed amount of $250,000 for the upcoming school year. And we are requesting that this be added to consent agenda for the July meeting.
Sounds good.
Do we currently have a contract with them?
We do, it's the same not to exceed amount.
250?
Yes, sir. And out of that, we used, this past year, $193,000.
And I guess we still, those jobs, those specific jobs like the speech therapist, stuff like that, we've, in the past, had some and haven't had, as far as, I'm just saying, if we had a full-time speech therapist, you know, versus the contracts.
Yes, we always try to
Now
hire
it's
our own staff
Right.
first, and this is to fill in
It's
any
just-
gaps that
it's just-
we may have, any vacancies that may
Because
arise
there are
midstream.
always,
Mhm.
yeah.
Totally rock that.
Just to ensure
Things
the
that
continuity of
needs it.
services to students.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right,
On that.
okay, thank you so much. And that concludes the Finance and HR Committee. Do I have a motion to go closed?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Cook. I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Barger. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, call back order.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and we need to approve the personnel.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barger,
Second. Okay.
second by
Go ahead.
Mr. Gainey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's it.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Second, motion by Ms. Cook, second by Mr. Barger. All in favor?